Why a barbarian? And what's with the heads looking like hands? And just how many slurs can I say today? You're about to learn so much history tangentially through Pokemon. So I recently went on a big cross-country road trip and stopped at so many museums and cultural centers and national parks, and I'm full of so much knowledge now. And here is the most surprising thing that I learned, and it took me completely off guard. I know what Binacle is now. Yeah, the Pokemon that everyone thinks is ugly and bad, poor thing, it deserves it though, because it's true. We were in a naval history wing of the House on the Rock in Wisconsin, and I read the plaque on this weird ship part I have never seen before. It's a Binacle. What, like the Pokemon? So I always knew that Binacle and its even uglier evolution Barbaracle were barnacles, gooseneck barnacles to be specific, and I always figured that Binacle was named that because it was bi. As in the number 2. It's got 2 heads. Like a bicycle has 2 wheels, or someone who's bilingual speaks 2 languages. This is Binacle, because it's 2 bar knuckles. So it is still that, but it's only now that I realize the sheer brilliance of this Pokemon name. Because we all know how barnacles like sticking not only to rocks, piers, turtles, and whales, but ships too, especially old ones. And ships have binnacles with 2 ends instead of just the 1 end of the Pokemon name. And perfectly, Binnacles have these 2 balls sticking out the sides, like Binacle's 2 heads even. These balls are iron correcting spheres, which will probably make sense once I tell you what binnacles are used for. Starting in the mid-18th century, binnacles were put in large ships right in front of the helmsman, the guy who steers the ship. Inside of them are various delicate navigational instruments, mainly advanced compasses on gimbals, and surrounded with many magnetic correctors to make sure it stays level and accurate at all times. That's what the 2 big metal balls are for. They help correct the compass, keep it more steady on the always rocking ship, and the entire compass, being almost suspended in Verisol fluid, helps it stay straight too. They used to be floating in alcohol, but alcohol plus sailors tends to cause the opposite of straight. But no, really, it used to be alcohol, but desperate sailors would drink it when the rum was gone.
Why is the rum always gone?
Which isn't good for the instruments, so they had to change the liquid. But on top of directional tools, many binnacles also housed sand timers used to estimate ship speed, and all of this was housed in a strong and sturdy container. That's what the name refers to, after all. Binacle comes from the French bitacle, which itself comes from Latin habitaculum. Probably mispronouncing that, but it means little dwelling. This is the little dwelling of all of the delicate navigational tools, almost like how Binacle. This Pokemon has its own little dwelling, the rock they're both attached to. Fun fact, many ships still use these, by the way. We may have more accurate satellite GPS and digital speedometers and such these days, but it helps to have an analog backup. The last thing you want is to be lost at sea because you have no signal.
Sorry, Scrub, you're lost as heck.
Oh, that name pulling from French, though? Mwah, chef's kiss. Because of course, Binacle and Barbaracle are from Kalos, the region based on France, and wild gooseneck barnacles live kinda everywhere that there's a coast. Like, look at the Japanese ones. They are especially spiky. Just like the Pokemon. The gooseneck barnacles used in French food are harvested from the West African coasts of Mauritania and up into the southern Mediterranean off the coast of North Africa, and all the way up to western France. And I have unfortunately not eaten any, though I tried for this video. Turns out they're not super common around here. Which is surprising, because they live here. Granted, they do get more common if you harvest them yourself or go to a restaurant where the plates are $100 each. But I'm not gonna do that. But they are described as tasting like a juicier, less chewy clam, mixed with a little bit of succulent crab claw, which pairs well with butter. And that all makes sense considering that barnacles are crustaceans. Yeah, you heard me! Barnacles are crustaceans, like crab, lobster, krill, shrimp. They are not at all closely related to mollusks or like clams and oysters and mussels that they are so often compared to. The whole wide world works weirdly, and that explains why the egg moves it learns are mostly from fellow crustacean Pokemon and not Cloyster or Clamperl. Now, there are a few major questions still about Binacle and Barbaracle, like why a barbarian? And what's with the heads looking like hands? And just how many slurs can I say today? See, I've got a coupon. It's from a friend in Puerto Rico. He gave it to me, so I can't be canceled. But let's answer those questions after this message.
Barnacles are dangerous with their concrete-like shells and sharp pointy bits, but they are also incredibly uncomfortable to lay on top of. Those of you still using barnacle beds should know that a better solution is available for your sleeping needs: Helix mattresses and mattress toppers. That's right, Helix's premium mattresses are here and have been for years, you silly goose barnacle. And right now is the time to get one because it's the Memorial Day exclusive partner offer. 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. But how will you choose which one to get? Ordering something like a mattress online seems risky. But fret not, they offer an online sleep quiz which matches you and a partner to the best mattresses that suit your needs. My wife, my cat, and I once took it 7 years ago, and while the cat wasn't much help, we got matched to the Helix Midnight Luxe with its built-in cooling cover, and we've loved it ever since. It helps dissipate heat away from you so you don't make tide pools beneath yourself at night, at least not sweat-based ones. And if your current mattress just needs a little boost, a little pick-me-up, a little hand, their new mattress toppers do just that. Easy to set up, straps to keep it in place. And now your generic mattress has Helix power! There's the dual comfort topper for couples with very different sleep preferences, the Ergo-Align mattress topper for those wanting more midsection support to help with lower back pain. There's a softer premium memory foam mattress topper for a simple upgrade, and my favorite, the Helix premium mattress topper with Glaciotex. It's somehow actually cool to the touch. I love technology. Whichever you choose, now's the time to make that choice with their Memorial Day exclusive partner offer. 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. Please visit helixsleep.com/Lockstin, link below, and stop laying on barnacles!
The Pokemon anime only ever heavily featured Barbaracle once, in the XY episode A Stealthy Challenge. Ash and friends meet a ninja who has a rival ninja, a master in disguise, whose only Pokemon is a Barbaracle? So like, what does Barbaracle have to do with ninjas? Like, it's a barbarian. Though the crossover has happened before. Splatoon did it for a Splatfest. Ninja Gaiden had a boss named Barbarian, even though he was actually a ninja. It was just that his tactics were super loud and ruthless, so he got the name. Here's a Ninja Turtle as a barbarian. That was a thing. Is it just a silly juxtaposition? Ninjas are famous for being masters of stealth and silence, whereas barbarians tend to... Just an over-the-top berserker, honestly. A type of Viking warrior berserker is based on, but more on that in its own video. Honestly, both ninjas and barbarians are heavily mythologized. Like, yes, there were warriors almost like this, but they weren't like advanced dojos teaching stealthy leaf magic and invisibility. Nor were there men getting this swole in the days before protein powder. Real barbarians would try sneaking into forts and towns before intimidating and rampaging like any smart raider would. But what does barbarian mean, anyway? The term barbarian was originally Greek for just foreigner, barbaros. The name likely came about because of the Old Germanic language. To the Greeks, Old Germanic sounded like bar bar bar. So technically, it's kind of a racist slur. Like,
slides off limits to ching-chongs.
Yeah, it is just kind of ancient Europe's version of that, including the being beaten by them, as later on, thanks to the Greeks and Romans thinking themselves the most prestigious and civilized of cultures, the term barbarian and barbaric came to mean primitive, savage, and warlike, and a part of that was men not shaving their beards. It's just what civilized people do. Those hairy men to the north who don't shave are no different from animals. They even still wear fur, the barbarians. Have you noticed that the word barbarian is similar to barber? Anyway, many centuries later, when entertainment media started becoming widespread, these ancient ideas solidified themselves, and we got characters like Conan the Barbarian, who still pretty much defines the barbarian look, even though he's shaved most of the time. Full body. Funny that. But still, barbarians are typically extremely ripped, broad-chested males wearing little clothing other than big boots, a big furry loincloth, and maybe a fur cloak, which gives them a silhouette similar to Barbaracle too. The top rock is the egregiously oversized chest and or cloak, and the bottom rock is the bulge of their loincloth. It brings to mind another Pokemon actually, Kleavor, who in its own video we found out is based on the real-world Shibata Katsui, as many Hisuian Pokemon are based on Oda Nobunaga and and the people around him. Shibata, like all of them, really has been heavily mythologized in media. Like so. This is from Samurai Warriors by Koei, who Pokemon has worked with in the past. Pokemon Conquest is literally a Pokemon crossover game with them, and it desperately needs a sequel. And that little tangent is brought to you by Japanese barbarians, or rather, how Japan historically uses a similar word for similar stereotypes. Take Yi, which is most often translated as barbarian. One of the main uses for it that I'm probably going to mispronounce is Emisyi, meaning shrimp barbarians, a slur used to refer to the Ainu people, the people native to Hokkaido, who, to many of the Japanese at the time, were seen as primitive, hairy, fur-wearing, uncivilized people to the north. Kind of familiar that. The word Nanban is sometimes translated as barbarian too, specifically southern barbarians, as in the Portuguese, who in their trade ships approached Japan from the south. It was the same idea. These foreign, unshaved men are primitive and uncivilized, with their ships and their weapons significantly more advanced than ours. That doesn't mean they aren't primitive, it just means they are war-loving, so uncivilized. They lack the class and sophistication of we here in glorious Nippon. Yaban, Sanzoku, and Banzoku are also often translated as barbarian or barbaric too, and it refers to mountain bandits, and the types and behaviors associated with them. The towns and cities where civilized people lived were all below the mountains. Living up in the mountains is like hiding up in the wilderness. It's for uncivilized, wild, primitive people who rely on robbing villages and being uncouth to survive. Those barbarians in the mountains, wearing their big bandit gear. And this is where they start to bleed into ninjas, actually. These barbarian bandits resorted to any tactics they could use to steal and survive. The smaller ones would be stealthy when applicable, or gather in large numbers to create an ambush. Meanwhile, the bigger ones would use barbaric intimidation and ruthless violence. I am large. That is sort of generalizing, but the trope is there. A pairing of a sneaky ninja with a big, damage-dealing barbaric bandit is a good one. And plus, barnacles do kinda sneak their way onto ships, don't they? A little stowaways. So why the heads? Well, the ends of gooseneck barnacles are covered in protective plates, 5 large ones and several smaller ones, but 5 is the number of fingers we have. And what are fingernails if not protective plates? So they look like little alien arms with hands reaching out, but actually the barnacle's mouth is in there. They have little tentacles or cirri that pop out of their mouths to grab food. Like hands, but not. It looks like a weird little alien arm stretching out from a rock, but no, that's its face. It's ugly, ugly face. And they're named gooseneck not only because of their long necks compared to most barnacles, but because from the right angle, their heads do sort of resemble geese beaks. See it? Kinda. Like if a goose was really, really ugly. So it's a hand thing with a face. So the Pokemon have faces in their hand things. Barbaracle even goes so far as to add a thumb to the main one. It's like a proper human hand now. But actually, the rest of the hands on this Pokemon all having this equilateral design to the hand faces makes it kind of resemble a Hamsa. Hamsa were and are a popular hand-shaped amulet originally from Mesopotamia. But even in the ancient world, it quickly spread throughout Egypt and then through the Phoenicians to ancient Iberia, and then the rest of the old Western world. Iberia is right next to France and where many a gooseneck barnacle live and are eaten. Very fitting. And also, the main most common Hamsa design is also not just a hand, it's like a hand where the pinky is the same as the thumb, but inverted, making it equilateral, like Binacle. So what was it really? Well, it was a warding amulet, said to protect against bad luck and the evil eye, a curse brought about by a malevolent glare. The more popular evil eye amulets do the same thing, but they don't have a hand around them, so aren't related to this little guy. Hamsa would see many variations throughout history, even some Christian ones. In fact, the curse of the evil eye was so widespread in the ancient world that the Bible references it a few times. But the variation of the Hamsa that's important for us comes from Arabic and Berber tradition. Wait, really? The Berbers? The Berber, like Barbaracle? The Hamsa from the Berbers. Are you serious? The Berbers whose coasts were completely surrounded by gooseneck barnacles? Those Berbers? Barbaracle? Wait, let me look at a history book again. Yeah, The name Berber for them comes from Arabic barbar, as in barbarian, which itself came from ancient Greece. Great. It refers to North Africans in the Classic and Middle Age periods and fell out of use until 19th century France, because France wanted to colonize the area, so they brought the word back to use it as a slur. Granted, barbarian was always a sort of slur too. I'm so glad I got this. Anyway, Berber, or less slurried, Amazigh, Hamsa, often look like this, and this, and this. 3 fingers, the middle being extra large. The 2 missing fingers are still there, just more so spiritually. That's why the palm is extra wide. It's like the 2 weird side fingers just kept shrinking back into it. But still, binacle much? Extra large middle finger? Wow, that's kind of rude. You shouldn't really be waving those around nonstop. Ugh, it's uncouth. It's barbaric, even. Some of their Hamsa went the other way, though. Instead of kind of shrinking in the outer 2 fingers, they just straight up made the shape of a hand. Kind of like Barbaracle's head, huh? So this guy really is a barbarian barnacle. Yeah, you see this look in my eyes? If someone was giving you the evil eye, you could hold this amulet up and say Hamsa Fai Inek with your palm up, fingers slightly apart, and it would act as a ward. It means 5 in your eye, referring to the fingers, like, Ayo, your evil eye you're giving me just now? I just jammed all of my fingers into it. Get bent. And while it's good and totally fine to protect yourself, in any sort of conflict, going right for the eyes is often considered rude and especially violent, even in self-defense. It's barbaric, even. Like, you gotta just get the guy to fall over. You don't have to blind him for life. Like, there's stopping, hurting, and even killing people with swords and stuff, but then there's just jabbing parts of yourself into them. Barbaric. It's kind of like some barnacles, actually. The parasitic barnacles, rather than just cementing themselves to whatever they attach to, they dig into the flesh through the shells and carapace when applicable and suck away nutrients like barbarian raids, just stomping through your village to steal food. And even most barnacles, which are not parasitic, are still weighing down and reducing the hydrodynamics of the sea turtles and whales they're attached to. It's still not a good thing. It's a drag. Oh gosh, our town would be so much more prosperous if we could just put more effort into things like farms and festivities and less into defense against barbarians. Gosh, it's like starting a new game of Civilization. Barbarians make the early game just so hard sometimes. It is no wonder
Barnacles.
is SpongeBob's equivalent of a curse word.
Barnacles!
What could be more undesirable than a bunch of barnacles?
Oh, I know!
Maybe a bunch of barbarians. Barbarian and the equivalent words in other languages were always directed towards foreign undesirables, causing a drag on society. So, really, a barbarian barnacle is perfect, even if that was all there was to it. That's all I'm saying. Oh, also that binnacles are a thing. That's what got me onto this the whole time. But actually, binnacles are also another thing. Almost. This here is a brinacle, an underwater icicle, sometimes also called the finger of death when it reaches the floor, because when it touches the ground it freezes it and all the life near it. A brinacle, that's a finger. I see an ice-type binacle regional variant in the future. Never stop using your noggin.